What's up, YouTube? Christo here, back with a brand new music channel, vinyl channel. I have been locked out of my other one for a long time. Haven't uploaded anything in a considerable amount of time on top of that, so I thought I'd kind of do fresh new start. What better day to do that than New Year's Day 2022, for posterity, if you're wondering down the road. Anyways, things have changed quite a lot for me. I live in a completely different part of Canada. I unfortunately wasn't able to bring my entire record collection with me, and only recently, I guess over the summer, maybe 5 or 6 months ago, I got half of my collection, and I still have about half of it, and unfortunately the good half is the half that I'm still missing. Not that what I have now isn't good, it's just a lot of my rare and hard to find stuff is still in storage back in Ontario, but I'm kind of working on getting that sent over. I have picked up actually a few pretty cool things recently, so as my kind of second introduction video, I kind of wanted to talk about some records I've been listening to and some records I've picked up quite recently. So some albums I've been listening to lately. Destroyer, I've been on a huge Destroyer kick, and you'll see them come up again later. Trouble in Dreams is kind of my most recent fascination with them. Absolutely love the track, My Favorite Year. The rest of the album is really good, but My Favorite Year really stands out to me. Just such a great track. Foam Hands is really good as well, despite the unusual name. But yeah, I've been really digging this album lately, as well as everything else. I love Destroyer. I'm such a huge Destroyer fan. Tim Hecker. This is, what is this? I haven't even listened to this one yet. Love Streams. Yeah, like I didn't know it from the UB strip there. Anyways, I picked this up a couple months ago. Silver vinyl. I'm sure you can imagine what silver vinyl looks like, so I'm not going to get this one out. But I've been a huge Tim Hecker fan for years now, and just now starting to get into his, or should I say maybe the albums I'm less familiar with, and this is definitely one of them. I've kind of like tinkered around with this on Spotify, but I haven't actually put this on my turntable yet. I don't have my spin clean with me, so I'm pretty fussy about what I play, like especially as well, like this was used, so it wasn't exactly the cleanest record. Even new records, they'll have debris and dust and little strips, like little paper strips from the inner sleeves, which is why I'm so adamantly poly-lined inner sleeve kind of guy. Been really into electronic and ambient lately. Thomas Yarkub totally takes me back to high school. This is Sequins. I really only know Sequins and Immaterial. I'm sure he's done something else, but those are the two I'm familiar with, and Sequins is my favorite of those two. Just very atypical late 90s. Is this late 90s? It's either late 90s or early 2000s, but I think this is late 90s. Ambient with a little bit of bass to it. I don't know what you'd say, like a little chill ambient kind of thing, but it's pretty good. Canadian, but obviously very European influenced. Been really into Ariel Pink the last maybe year or so since I relocated, and for some reason, somehow, Mature Themes totally flew under my radar. This was released not long after Before Today, which is the album that got me into Ariel Pink, and still probably to this day like my single favorite start to finish Ariel Pink album. And I don't love this as much as Before Today, but it's still really good. There's some really great tracks on here, a few good little oddities. Schnitzel Boogie, Pink Slime. I love the kind of sequence, the beat on Pink Slime. Really great track, and there are some pretty good. Only in Dreams is beautiful. Unfortunately, this doesn't have the the extra track that the CD or the digital versions do. That's a really, really great track. But very good. You can find a lot of Ariel Pink stuff used often for very cheap. Picked this one up not long before I moved out to Alberta. This is Sun Kill Moon's Benji. I'm kind of like really hit and miss with Sun Kill Moon. It's kind of like every one of his albums, there'll be a couple tracks that I really enjoy a lot, and the rest I just find kind of boring, redundant, uninteresting. And I admit that I'm kind of the same with this as well. And I admit as well that I did buy this primarily for the fact that it has Richard Ramirez died today of natural causes. And even like the studio version, I don't think is incredible. The Pitchfork live version that he did is just phenomenal, just out of this world incredible. And this is also I don't know, translucent gold, translucent yellow copy, which is pretty cool. Got that for a very good price, considering what it's selling for on Discogs and what it was selling for on Discogs. Picked this up a couple months ago. I just stumbled across this in a record store in Edmonton here. This is Problem Children. Probably most of you have never heard of them. They are an early-ish punk rock band from my hometown, little redneck town in southern Ontario. So it's pretty cool because I've known them since I was in like junior high school. They were kind of a bit of a local legend. The daughter of the singer, like when she was really small, she was in like kindergarten or something. I think he was the singer. Like his wife used to come and pick her up, and my buddy who was really into punk then is like, oh my God, that's the wife and the daughter of the dude from Problem Children. I didn't really know who they were, and I don't love them, but it's just kind of cool because they were actually kind of important in that southern Ontario early punk rock scene landscape. Drab Majesty, recent-ish reissue. Unarian Dances, however that's pronounced. Clear vinyl. I haven't really listened to this again, kind of like I mentioned with the Tim Hecker album, although I did pick this up quite recently. I think it was just Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve I grabbed this. And this is on clear vinyl, which I love. I've actually been kind of fascinated by clear vinyl lately. It's basically the first Drab Majesty EP, reissued, of course. It's obviously like familiar if you know the later Drab Majesty, as you know I am. Like I kind of got into them at Demonstration, and I really like Modern Mirror. And what was the first album? Careless is good, but I'm definitely, maybe because it was my introduction, I'm definitely a Demonstration kind of guy. Another Destroyer album. This is kind of an oddball. Ideas for songs. This is a very, very, very lo-fi folk album, almost to the point that it's like freak folk. Haven't really absorbed this yet. Again, I just picked this up like a week ago and I haven't played it. I just started a new job. I've been quite busy and haven't had much time to throw stuff on the turntable. But it's kind of interesting. I admit I knew of it. I knew kind of what it was, but I'd never actually seen this for sale in person. So I kind of had to grab it because it was like, I don't know, $24 or something, which is pretty cool. It is a difficult listen, at least for now, compared to, that very refined kind of like pop rock, almost synth pop sound that Dan's been doing the last couple albums. And this was the third album that I picked up in person quite recently. Again, Christmas Eve, like a little over a week ago. Vladislav Delay's Mutila, I believe it's pronounced. I never actually owned this on CD or had the Mutila. The digital versions, but it has some tracks that I remember. Vladislav Delay, if you're not overly familiar, similar to the Thomas Yerikou that I mentioned, but Definitely a little more droney, ambient, very, I don't know, organic sounding, if that makes sense. But yeah, I was a huge Vladislav Delay, Usitalo Luamo fan back in the day. So it's kind of cool. This came out, I think, early 2020, like March 2020, and I finally got to pick up a copy. It's a European import, and it's pretty heavy, so it's not easy to come by here for a decent price. Really good little EP. I don't know if it's considered an EP, but it definitely is in terms of time. Dean Blunt's Black Metal 2. At first, I was kind of disappointed by this album a bit, because it's very different from the original Black Metal. Very different sound, which I kind of understand. It's, you know, Dean Blunt's so good at having a completely different sound, or a very different sound on, you know, every album, every project he's a part of. But more so just because it was so short. And I think like the longest track on here is like 3 minutes or something. But there are some really great tracks on here. The Rot and Sketamine are just incredible, very atmospheric, really beautiful instrumentals on them as well. Dinosaur Jr. Bug. I'm not a huge Dinosaur Jr. fan. I really like a couple of the mid to later 90s albums. Where You Been, especially. Green Mine's pretty good. There's a couple others as well, but I found this for like, I think it was 15, like $12 or $15 locally as well again, so I had to grab it. I think this is Lou Barlow era, but it is a Jaguar, however it's said, pressing, which is just one of the few Jaguar pressings I own are just atrociously bad, so I haven't listened to this as well. Again, I picked this up on Christmas Eve. It was something I ordered online, but just happened to, you know, I picked it up the day I just happened to pick up those other records. This one is a bit of a dud. I kind of pulled the trigger on this again. I bought it online at the same place, and I really liked the first MX-80 sound record. I wasn't really too impressed by this from what I've heard of it. Again, probably just like YouTube or Spotify. Did find it quite interesting that it's on Ralph Records, which is the Residence record label, which is kind of cool, but it's very different than the first album, which is by far my favorite. I think it's their second record. What's it called? Out of the Tunnel. I think it's their second record. This is cool. I've been listening to this. I haven't listened to the record. I've had this on hold for me. Like, I bought it online and then picked it up in person. I've had it on hold for probably 2 months or so. This is Lydia Lunch's Honeymoon in Red. What makes this really cool, though, is that it has Tracy Pugh and Roland Howard from The Birthday Party and Thurston Moore, obviously from Sonic Youth. So this is actually a really cool, much more, I don't know, post-punk, more no-wavy than Lydia Lunch's, what is it, Queen of Siam, which is the only other Lydia Lunch album I own. It's good. I see it more as a novelty record, but yeah, this is a pretty good, noisy, post-punk album. Pretty cheap as well, I got that for. Finally grabbed this. I'd wanted Food for years now, but for some reason it was always the most difficult Doom record to find for a decent price. You know, he passed away very suddenly, very unexpectedly, to the public at least. And, you know, all of his records, of course, just skyrocketed in price. And I was like, I'm never going to get Food again. Then just all of a sudden, it seems like a whole bunch of these pink and gold, is it, pressings just kind of got leaked again. So I'm not sure if there was just like, you know, a ton of them sitting from his, I don't know, record label, vinyl pressing plant or whatever that just got released, because I know vinyl's been really backed up the last year and a half, 2 years or so since COVID, and everyone's buying records and pressing records and blah, blah, blah. So I finally got this for what I would consider a good retail price. Very happy with it. It's not my favorite Doom record. It's not my favorite record that Doom's appeared on, but it kind of completes that like little mini studio album Doom run that I've been trying to finish for years. Primitive Man, kind of got into these guys by not accident, I should say, but just by chance. One of their other albums, oh, I can't remember what it is. It's one of their first albums, if not their first major album. I picked that up because I thought the album art was really cool, and I was just like, wow, this is some pretty awesome doom, sludge, whatever. And I found this and had to grab it. It is on clear or like gray, clearish gray vinyl with some splatters. It looks really cool because it kind of looks solid, but it's actually kind of like a translucent gray, but like almost clear gray. Very cool. Love Primitive Man, just like super heavy, slow, you know, which is what Doom is really, but just, you know, take that to an extreme as well. So yeah, really love these guys. I'll do that later. These are the most recent ones I picked up. Actually, let me show you the CDs. I picked up a couple CDs with this order. You threw them in for no extra shipping cost, and they were quite cheap. This is Beat Happening's Dreamin' or Dreamy? I can never remember. Never actually owned this album. Dreamy, sorry. Never actually owned this on CD, and the vinyl for some reason is quite expensive. I guess I don't think many Beat Happening albums have been reissued recently. Dreamy might be only that first initial couple pressings, but yeah, I grabbed this on CD. I really love Nancy Sin, and I do have Nancy Sin on the band curated best of, but I've never had that full album. It was $6 Canadian, free shipping, or, you know, no extra shipping, so I grabbed that. And I grabbed this, real throwback to high school, David Bowie's very underrated Outside. Changed his sound significantly, and he did it very effortlessly as well, which is something I'm not an enormous David Bowie fan, but he's always been able to stay contemporary, or was always able to stay contemporary, and a lot of his hardcore fans didn't really like this. I, on the other hand, who was mostly just familiar with his big 70s, you know, hits, which I found to be okay, but nothing special. I really enjoyed this a lot back in, you know, the late 90s, quite a lot. I found the, you know, kind of era Bowie from Seven. I believe it played in the ending credits, and just loved it. So I got this as well. This was no extra shipping. Grace Jones, Living My Life. Grace Jones is just so cool, and this album is pretty good. I'm not going to get it out. It's just standard black pressing, but yeah, just some really good, happy, upbeat, early 80s synth pop. And these were the ones that kind of sealed it for me. So I'll show this first. This is probably more rare, but the other one is like, you know, one of my favorite albums that I've been introduced to in like maybe the last 5-6 years. This is Death Bell's first EP, self-titled Death Bells. They are an Australian, I don't know, indie rock band. This album definitely has a lot more like electronic or kind of dance influence on it. Although it's not really what I would call an electronic album. It's just, you know, some rock, synth, you know, kind of combination that definitely is less prevalent the further they go along. This is super rare. I've never even seen a copy of this for sale in Canada, and then one popped up on Discogs for what I considered a very good price. And the gentleman also happened to have Standing at the Edge of the World. I always want to say like Walking at the Edge of the World or something, but anyway, Standing at the Edge of the World, Death Bells, I guess it's their first full-length LP, and just one of the most beautiful records I've heard in a long time. There's something about this record. I don't know if it's the guitar tone, what it is, but something about this just like, I don't know, it kind of gives me butterflies in my stomach, or I don't know, it just almost has like, it just has this feeling I can't really describe. Both of these are black pressings. I think they both have a few different colored variants, but they're so rare. Very, I don't know, dream poppy, dream rock. Phenomenal record, phenomenal. Like, I've heard people compare this album to Interpol, and I wouldn't disagree with them, but I think there's a much more personal side to Death Bells Standing at the Edge of the World than, let's say, Turn on the Bright Lights, which is my favorite Interpol record. There's something that's just more nostalgic. Like, even the first time I heard this album, it was just very nostalgic to me. Excellent record, very happy to have those. Anyways, I am going to go through my record collection. I'm going to redo my A to Z collection. My collection has grown significantly since I was doing those. And then when I do finally get the rest of my records, I'm going to go back and do a companion A to Z kind of discography and segments as well. So thank you for coming back. Thank you for subscribing for the first time. But either way, I am going to kind of make this my primary pet project at the moment. So anyways, thanks for watching, everyone, and I will definitely see you again around soon.